Hey guys, LevelCap here. Today I want to talk to you guys about 2017, what kind of year that was for me as both a person and a YouTuber, and I also want to go over some of my favorite videos of the year. In case you guys missed them, I think there's some pretty cool content that is definitely worth a watch. Now, I don't normally talk about my personal life on YouTube. I like to keep it kind of gaming oriented, but in a sort of yearly review, a yearly wrap up, there were some pretty big events that happened for me as a person. The most important and exciting thing I think in my entire life is the fact that my wife Natalie gave birth to our first son, Jeffrey, on September 2nd. He's a wonderful little guy. I'm absolutely loving being a father and watching this little guy grow and learn, and every week he seems to be up to something new. It's really exciting and fun. But for those of you who have watched me or followed me on Twitter, you'll know that this was not just a super fun and joyous part of my life. It was also incredibly stressful because the poor little guy had his cranial plates fused while he was still in the womb. This is something that happens in one of, I think, 5,000 babies or something like that. And it required him to get cranial surgery. If he didn't get the surgery, it could have had serious complications on the growth of his head and brain development down the road. So we had to put the guy under at 3 months old, and they had to go in and cut his skull bones apart so that they could grow properly. Fortunately, the surgery was a huge success. He came out just fine and has been doing great ever since. He now wears a little helmet 23 hours a day, and he's going to do so until he's about a year old. It's not the most ideal thing in the world, but it's a small price to pay for a healthy and happy baby, and we decorated it with some cool decals. Now, the other major event that happened in 2017 was the YouTube Ad Pocalypse. There's plenty of news articles out on the internet if you want to know about it. The gist of it is that there was some bad press about YouTube putting ads and sponsorships on really inappropriate content on YouTube, and thus they implemented a non-finished and non-perfect algorithm that was supposed to automatically pull ads from inappropriate content. This was a massive disaster. It hit channels randomly and without any sort of inclination as to why some channels were getting hit and not others. For example, my channel was hit extremely bad by the Ad Pocalypse, but other channels posting similar content on Battlefield were not touched at all. I had a 50% cut to my income overnight, and that lasted for 5 months straight. And without getting into too much financial detail about my personal life, let's just say this put me in an extremely stressful situation. It was not sustainable for me based on some of our investments and what we were working on. It caused me to stop a lot of projects and pull out of ideas that I was working on at the time. And not only that, but made me consider whether or not we were going to need to shut down Brick Vault, our secondary channel. There was just so many things that this was threatening to disrupt in my life that it really affected my mental state for a good 4 to 5 months. And I know it came across in some of my videos. It affected my content output. It affected my enthusiasm for certain gaming. And some of you guys definitely noticed that. And I do apologize for the way things went during that period of time. It's something that I wasn't happy with myself, and I'm happy to be out of it now. YouTube revenue has returned to normal finally. I'm still extremely upset with the company and have a lot less faith in the stability of their platform and the way that they treat the people that have helped build up their platform. But it is what it is at the end of the day, and there's not a whole lot I can do about it other than, just tell you guys what I've gone through and what 2017 was for me. Anyway, to say the least, I'm extremely happy to be putting 2017 behind me. I have so many things to look forward to in 2018, and looking back again on the year and pulling out the little gems or the things that meant the most to me, here's a collection of videos that I think you should definitely watch if you missed them when they were first released. This first video is actually my most successful video of 2017, and it's the PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds Beginner's Guide. Now, I spent a good amount of time going over what I thought were the most important things for new players getting into the game, and then I followed it up with an intermediate guide, and then I worked with Choco Taco on an advanced advanced guide. So basically 3 videos that kind of went together that would get you from beginner state to intermediate to advanced play at later stages. And although some of it's a little bit dated, it for the most part holds up really well, and I think serves as an excellent beginner's guide for this game. Another one of my highly popular videos of the year was a video in which I go back and play some Battlefield 3 at an enhanced 1440p resolution and talk about why it's my favorite Battlefield game of all time. There was a lot of reflection in 2017 because I think Battlefield 1 was such a departure of the norm, not just historically speaking, but gameplay speaking. It changed things up quite a bit. Not everybody was super on board or happy with it, and I use this video as an attempt to sort of reflect and analyze why it was my favorite game and what I would like to see from future Battlefield games. The next video is an interesting one. It's a video I'm very proud of making, but it's also one of my more downvoted videos of 2017, and that's my Star Wars Battlefront 2 review. Now, the reason why this video got downvoted so much is that it was right in the heyday of the loot crate fiasco. EA had not made an official amends or policy change to their loot crate system at that point, and I acknowledged it in the start of the video, but also said that I wanted to review the game aside from the loot crate system and look at the actual design mechanics, gameplay mechanics, and whatnot. I went very in-depth with it. It's like a 25-minute long video, and I'm really proud of the video and the work I did on it. I think it was pretty much impossible for many of the review websites or YouTubers to make a review video about Star Wars Battlefront without it constantly looping back to the progression system or being all about the loot crate mechanics. And I've always kind of prided myself in this channel's ability to sort of analyze true gameplay mechanics, game design, and that's what I made the video about. And because of that, I think I just got downvoted enough because people were expecting a 25-minute long rant about how EA is the worst company ever and how they made an extremely predatory system, and I just felt like I had already covered that subject enough, and because I didn't bash the game enough for that system in the review, it got downvoted a lot. But I'm still quite proud of the review, and I think it holds up. It's not 100% positive or anything like that. It just actually looks at the game design and the gameplay of Star Wars Battlefront 2 and talks about it as a game rather than a money-making system devised by EA. Now, I also like to highlight videos in my yearly reviews of some of the better just gameplay highlights or really fun game sessions that I've had over the years, and I picked out 3 of these ones that I think were some of my most fun. One of them, oddly enough, takes place in Ghost Recon Wildlands. Despite what you may or may not think about that game, it was a lot of fun to play with friends at the start, and I had a really entertaining gameplay video with Matimio and Jack Frags where we're just bombing around the world, screaming and enjoying the crazy, chaotic environment, and I still watch that video and crack up. The next cool gameplay video is from Battlefield 1. It's called Behemoth Killer, and it's actually a Twitch stream highlights. I started streaming a lot more in 2017. The channel is twitch.tv/LevelCap, and I hadn't done a lot of solo gameplay highlights too much, but I really liked this one. I was having a total blast the whole time I was playing. Lots of crazy, wacky stuff happened, and it was just a good time all around. The next video is called Destroying Noobs with Stone Mountain 64, and this is a PUBG gameplay highlights video. I did quite a few of them over 2017, and I plan to do quite a few more in 2018. PUBG is just sort of this amazing hit of a game that nobody was expecting in 2017, and this was still early on in the game's history when third-person perspective was the only game mode. There was only one map, and it was very, very buggy, but Stone and I had a series of really, really good games, and I just put together some highlights from them, but this was sort of one of the more memorable gaming sessions I had in PUBG. Now, the next video is also from PUBG, but I'm integrating some cool replay mechanics from the new replay system in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. I actually posted this video yesterday, and if people like it enough or want to see this editing style more, I think it could be a really cool way to make really entertaining squad up style gameplays with PUBG, showing all different kinds of cinematic perspectives. The next video I made is a basic guide on the Char 2C Behemoth Super Tank in Battlefield 1's first DLC. And even though this is kind of old news, I gotta say making a whole video on the Super Tank was really fun, and just watching it blast through tank after tank after tank I find the footage itself just really entertaining to go back and watch over again. At the moment, these maps aren't being played all that much in Battlefield 1, so I don't know how many more opportunities people are going to have to jump in this super tank and wreak havoc on these maps, but I gotta say, I had an absolute blast making this video. And the last video I'd like to talk about today is called Fixing Battlefield 1. Now, BF1 has been a somewhat divisive game. It's been a heavily successful game for the Battlefield franchise, but I think it's naive to say that it's just been overall a resounding success, and that it's actually kind of driven away certain players from the Battlefield franchise. Whether EA is okay with this or not is really up to them entirely, but I made a video talking about some reasonable complaints about the Battlefield 1 game, some design flaws and frustrations that I think represent a large contingent of the Battlefield player base, and many of whom probably aren't interested in playing the game anymore. And so this is something that I have been trying to bring to light over the course of Battlefield 1, and I think it's important to sort of bring it back up rather than making the video over and over and over again, is rather just saying, hey, I think I did a good summary of the general complaints of players who are not enjoying BF1 as much as the previous games and how we can fix them. Anyway, that kind of wraps it up for this 2017 year in review video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you didn't mind the real talk a little too much. Sometimes I think it's important to sort of go under the surface of the channel and talk about what's actually happening in real life and in my life, and what might actually be affecting my content on the surface. Something that I don't necessarily like to bring up a lot, because this is not a drama channel or anything like that, but many of you have been very loyal and very awesome followers, and I've been getting in touch with a lot more of you guys via Twitch, which has been a fun and interesting experience, and so it's just kind of nice. And I think as a whole, I'm very respectful to those of you who have stuck with me through the good times and the stressful times. So may 2018 be an epic year for YouTube and gaming. As always, thanks for sticking with me, guys, and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap signing up.